Hi, welcome back to My Perspective. I'm Shelby. If this is your first episode listening, welcome. I'm so excited to speak with you and have a little chat. I look forward to chatting with you every single Sunday, and it's honestly sometimes the highlight of my day to just really get everything out there and share some tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. So today's episode is all about being in a long distance relationship. I have majority of my relationships, so I want to share what I've learned and kind of share some of that knowledge if anyone else is currently going through long distance, or maybe one day you will be. I think it's such a valuable experience to go through in a relationship, and you really learn a lot about yourself and the person you're with. But let's get into my intro. I'm sitting in a hotel right now. I'm in Sacramento for a gymnastics competition that I am coaching, assisting. I've had one this morning, it's Saturday, and then I have two tomorrow morning on Sunday. This has been such an amazing day. I have so many things to be grateful for. Today I took a photo and I wrote on it, I want to remember this day because I am genuinely happy. And if you know me, I struggle a lot with my mental health. People don't want to hear about it because everybody talks about it nowadays. I don't know if it's talked about so much. I feel like it's lost its meaning and how much it actually can affect some people. And this isn't like some sob story I'm about to go into, and I really want to keep this positive because I've had such a great day. The feeling I felt today reminded me of what it's like to be happy and how I felt just genuinely joyful and radiant inside. And I've lost that, and I just felt so good, and I just want to hold on to today forever, or just remember what it's like to be happy. And I hope that this continues into tomorrow and many, many days after that. So let me tell you about today because it's been such a great day for me. I got in to Sacramento last night. I went downstairs. I had some cottage cheese and a banana because that is what the hotel provided. That was in my criteria of food I could eat because I'm gluten-free. So I had that. We get to the meet. We're coaching about 8 girls, and they did so well. We had one of our girls got all around, first place all around, and then multiple girls got a lot of placements. They did well. This was my first meet I've ever coached. So being a past gymnast, this was so heartwarming because it was a full circle moment in my life. I remember being as old as 7 competing and loving the sport of gymnastics. And I'm only doing this for a few months, but it's so nostalgic and healing my inner child. And I don't know, it brings up so many memories as well. And I love gymnastics. That sport was everything to me, and it's been really hard. I never really moved on from when I stopped gymnastics. It's kind of cool going back in and being back in the sport, I guess. So there's a Mendocino Farms, and I love Mendocino Farms. Their Caesar salad is just impeccable. So I got dressed, I went there, and I got myself my Caesar salad. And then after I walked around, there was an Anthro, and there was like this cute little pop-up vintage store this girl had, and like a little trailer. It was adorable. And then there was like a gift shop. This, what's it called? The worker in the little gift shop was like, have you ever seen, it was like some warrior movie or something. I was like, no. He was like, you look just like the girl. And I was like, he's like, do you ever get that? I was like, oh, I get the girl from like Mrs. Doubtfire. And I don't even know her name, but I get it all the time. And like a few other people, but always that girl. And he was like, oh yeah, that's who it is. Like she plays that person. I was like, oh. There was just like many instances where today felt great. When I went in the little like vintage shop, the girl complimented my bag, which was super sweet. Then I sat down. Oh, also the gift shop was giving out mimosas. So obviously I took one. So yum. And I sat in front of Shake Shack and just drank my mimosa. And this super cute elder couple came up to me and was asking me about my Hokas. And I just washed my Hokas, so obviously they looked nice. And they were asking me so many questions about them, and it was really sweet and heartwarming. And everyone's just been so nice since I've come to SAC. And it's not my first choice of place to be, so it's kind of cool that everyone's really sweet. So after that, I was going to go on a run, but realized I was still on my period. So I went to my roommate, Cagney, not from SAC, but she went to college here, and she told me like this super nice trail to go to, and it was I don't even know if I was on the right trail, but I took so many photos. I was just in pure nature. The flowers were neon yellow. It was crazy how beautiful, and the pictures just did not do this justice. I took so many photos. I took so many selfies. The trees I looked like it was in a forest. I felt like I was in a forest. So I walked about 2 miles and went along this trail and like this riverbed, just so peaceful. And I was listening to a podcast and a book. So after this trail, I really wanted like to go to a cafe, get a matcha and a pastry. I kid you not, I went to 3 different places and I just didn't like the vibes. I spent like an hour, and I don't drink like caffeine past like noon. So this was very spontaneous of me. And then by the 3rd place, I went to Phil's, and I love Phil's coffee. There was no way I was going to drink coffee that late. So I left, and I really was looking for like a good pastry. So I left, and there's a Salt and Straw across the street. So I went to Salt and Straw, and I tried a couple flavors. They had this coffee sugar-coated pecan. Like I said, I don't usually have coffee. So the coffee ice cream was kind of like that perfect middle ground. And then I'm not a huge pecan person, but it tasted amazing. So and there is this man playing, not like the piano, but like, I don't know. There's a man outside playing some type of instrument. There's kids and parents running around in circles, dancing, enjoying the music while eating their ice cream. And I'm sitting there in the sun by myself, not going on my phone, just genuinely enjoying this ice cream and listening to this man's music and watching these kids be themselves and just be so happy. So that was just so sweet. Also, not to mention, I'm on a work weekend trip, so all my food is paid for. That is also the super nice thing, is I'm not stressing about, oh my gosh, I need to buy the cheapest thing, or like there's a budget. So it's not like I'm going out to Nobu and buying hundreds of dollars worth of sushi. I'm still being mindful because I know these parents are paying for my food, obviously. But I'm not like, oh no, Shelby, you can't get that because it's my own money. I can really order and get whatever I want. So that's just a huge financial stress reliever, and it's why this trip has been so nice. Then after I got ice cream, I came back to the hotel, and I think I was supposed to start my podcast already, but I edited TikTok. I like legit 2 TikToks. I called Max. I was editing TikTok. I edited 2 TikToks, and I was really proud of them. It felt nice. And then I walked back to that riverbed because it wasn't honestly that far from my hotel. It was a little sketchy walking there, but I made the most of it. And then I walked about 2.5 miles, and I found a mini Golden Gate Bridge. It was so cute. I was very present and was listening and absorbing all the information, and being outside multiple times a day for long periods in nature was just very grounding, and I haven't done that in a long time. It wasn't like a task to go take Miso to the bathroom or give him exercise. It was really just for myself. And I had nothing, I'm on spring break, so I had nothing else better to do. I don't have homework, so it was once again another time where I felt so grateful. I'd look up at the clouds and I'm like, wow, those clouds are so beautiful. You know, you just look at the sky and you're like, what? And then on my walk, I kept noticing little things. Like I found a little saying on the floor. Okay, the thing said, only believe in what you see, not what you think you know. And then right after that, I got a notification on my Apple Watch that said, I am living in a feeling of peace and calm. If you know me, I had a really stressful week last week. I talked about it on the podcast. And spending this entire day by myself has been so rejuvenating. I didn't even realize I needed it. After that next walk, then I went to go get pho. And it was so bomb. I got a spring roll and I got a pho. I planned my podcast while I was there. This whole day I've been by myself, majority. I've been dating myself, basically. It's been so nice, and I didn't realize how much I just needed to be in my own thoughts and appreciate the life that I have and really just be happy. And I'm happy, and that's what's then just a happy kid today. All of my updates. Basically just today I didn't even talk about my week, but you know what? That doesn't matter because let's just leave it on a high note. So Max and I have been dating for 3 years now. We just had our anniversary. And we've basically been doing long distance pretty much most of it. We started dating during COVID. So we weren't allowed to see each other for a month. And then we had the best time during COVID together once we actually were allowed to see each other. Then I went to SLO for school, and then he went off to UCLA. So we were a 3-hour drive away, which some people would consider long distance, some people wouldn't. During that period of time that we did that for about 2 years, and we obviously saw each other over most breaks. He would go away for a good 2 months every time, in the summer, but whatever. So when we did that, so the first year it was COVID, my freshman year of college. That was really hard. That was the beginning of our relationship. I went down to UCLA quite often. I needed it at the time. So yes, we were long distance, but at the same time, I saw him way more than I even thought I would. And then the second year, I saw him every other weekend. I never missed a home game he pitched in. He's a baseball player. I thought it was very important for me to be there for him in his sport and now his job. So I love watching him play. I think that's when he's most himself, is on that field. And being his girlfriend, I see it all on the back end. The hours he spends, all the extra care he does that some people may not do, what goes through his head, how much dedication and passion and love he has for baseball. And then when I get to go to a game, I get to see it all pay off because I see him on that field and he's himself. He is so motivated. He is having fun. He is so focused on the field. It's so cool to see somebody that you love be so passionate about something and make it, when I see people when they have hobbies and then they make that their career, I think that is so awesome because you were able to make something that you genuinely enjoy into a career that you can do for many, many years. So I'm very proud of him. Also, that is more often than some people, and that was our second year of our relationship. But currently, I'm in my third year of college. He now is in the minor leagues. He plays for the Cardinals. So for spring training, he went off to Florida, and he's currently still there. For a good chunk of the next couple of years, we're going to be a plane long distance away. And this is something new. There's a lot that goes into a long distance relationship. Hopefully, we're only long distance for another 2 years. Maybe 3, because obviously we can't be long distance forever. There is so many benefits, I think, that starting our relationship off with this, because if we met our senior year of high school. If we knew each other for 4 years prior and we went to the same high school, we would basically be dating it was conveniently we'd see each other every single day. And then say we went off to long distance for the next 4 years, that's a huge change. But we started dating and long distance started. So not legit right away, but very soon. So we were able to build that foundation of a relationship before we went off to college, but not enough to where it was this huge stressor. And I was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? This is so different. Honestly, what I've noticed in our relationship is every year or multiple times a year, our relationship is not the same situational wise. First, it was COVID. Then we went off to college. And we had cars and we were able to see each other. He didn't have roommates and there really wasn't many baseball games going on and I didn't have any in-person classes. Then the next year he had roommates. There was games. He had more practices than normal. I had in-person classes. I joined a sorority. I got a dog. And then the next year he gets drafted. He's across the country and I'm still in college. The next year that's going, he's still going to be gone and I'm going to be starting a full-time job back home, and so our relationship every couple months is never the same. So I've really learned to be resilient and adaptive. That's just what I signed up for in this relationship. I knew this was what our life was going to be like, and I can never be upset or wish yes, I can wish, I wish you could be with me every single day. Yes, but I think this is so important for our relationship and it's going to make us stronger. Obviously, that's my experience, and I just want to share with you the things that I've learned. As I've really gotten a lot of backlash being in college and being in a relationship, and especially a relationship that's not with me. So let's talk about some of the pros and cons of being in a long-distance relationship. On one hand, I found that being in a long-distance relationship has given me a lot of independence and space to pursue my own personal goals, like graduating early. I wouldn't be able to do that if he was at the same school as me because I just want to be with him all the time. I feel like I have to constantly be checking in or worrying about him. It's liberating knowing that he's off at practice. We don't really have the type of relationship where it's like, oh, I'm worried, like he's in a frat, he's hanging out with all these bunch of girls, and he's at a party every weekend. I'm not always tracking him, looking at his location, texting him, where are you, what are you doing, worrying, having so much anxiety. It's more of, oh, when are you getting back from practice? What are you doing today? Oh, you went out. Oh, like, where'd you guys go out? Oh, that was fun. Like, who was there? Blah, blah, blah. Like, that sort of thing. So what I found to be the best thing about our relationship and for my own personal independence is he's at practice for 5+ hours a day. How I think about it is, wow, I have this chunk in my day that I physically can not talk to my partner. So what am I going to do during this time? I'm going to journal, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to do homework. It's kind of like deleting social media for like a couple hours to get your homework done. I can't distract myself by talking to him, so I might as well get all these things done, hang out with these people during this amount of time because I know I can't talk to him. That's been so helpful for me because I have this chunk of time that I can do anything I want and not have to respond, talk, check. I don't have to worry about Max because I know where he's at, I know what he's doing, and he can't talk to me. So I might as well get some things done while he's gone. When we do get a chance to talk that day, I can tell him about all the things I did that day. Like, we have something to talk about, because if we get on the phone and I did nothing all day, I just waited on my bed for him to be able to talk to me, I'm going to have nothing to talk to him about, and that's going to be boring. The other thing I've noticed is that it's forced me to develop a really strong communication skills. I'm also a communications major, so I'm putting 2 and 2 together. But when I can't physically rely on being with him in the same room together, I had to find other ways to connect and be on the same page as him. So I've learned how to be more patient and express myself clearly and honestly, and how to be a better listener as well. Being more patient, basically I'm a type A planner. So I've learned to be extremely flexible and realize that when he comes home from practice, he just like, yes, I have wanted all day to talk to him, but he also is then exhausted, and maybe he wants to just chill with his buddies for a little bit, and I have to be patient. And that same goes with me. Like, I come back from class and he wasn't doing anything all day and he really wants to talk to me, and I have like a bajillion other things to do on my to-do list. So it comes down to communicating, hey, I can't talk right now, or hey, like, let me call you in 5. What's worked best for us is I always call him. If you looked at our notifications, you would probably think I'm crazy because I call him multiple times a day. I call him multiple times a day because he might not answer because he's busy, and that's fine. But at least I called to see if he was free. So I always call on my drives to work, to class, back home, whatever, wherever I'm going. And if he answers, then great. We get like 5+ minutes to talk and chat and recap. But if he doesn't, like, it's fine. I'll listen to a podcast. But it's just trying to find those little chunks of time throughout the day to catch up with each other, or doing that at the end of the night. When you're in a long-distance relationship, texting, phone calls, all those sorts of things is the only way you can talk to each other. So you have to be good at it. If you're one of my friends, you know I suck at texting. But when it comes to Max, we might not be having a conversation, but I always respond with something. And that's because I know that that's the only way we can communicate. I can't just see him that night and then talk to him. Like, I can only talk to him on the phone. It's important to me to prioritize his text over anybody else's because I get to see other people in person and I don't get to see him. I've become a lot more straightforward and honest because you can't assume that someone else understands how you feel or pick up on your cues of your body language or your tone. One of the biggest challenges for me has been feeling very lonely or isolated at times, because it can be really tough to go very long periods of time without being able to see the person I love. I've learned to prioritize the friendships and relationships I have that are in the proximity I'm in or with myself. So like, say I wanted to go mini golfing with Max, but I'm not going to be able to see him for 2 months. Why not just take one of my friends? Like, do all those little things that I want to do with my friends and build those relationships as well, because those are super important too. FOMO is like if I see another couple who studies together, or they just come home after school together, or I see them holding hands on campus, or they're at a party together. That's where I kind of get sad, because I'm like, oh, I want to experience those little things together. But then I realize that we have the rest of our lives to do that together. What's the rush? Like, if I get these 4 years to really just build myself and find myself and build my career and all the other relationships in my life, it's okay that this one relationship, I get that a little bit later. I just gotta be selfish for about 4 years. Another thing is dealing with different time zones. So for the first couple years, we didn't have to deal with that. We were both in California. But now we both have to adjust our schedules and make sacrifices to stay connected. This can be frustrating when we want to talk or hang out, but one of us is asleep or at school or work, and there's other things going on. What I found that works best is, first off, he's not even worried about talking to me because he goes straight to work. However, when I wake up, he's usually still at practice. I still like text good morning or whatever. I don't get to talk to him, and then he goes to bed, and then I'm still awake. So that's like the only thing, is like he goes to bed, I'm still awake, but I end up like my sleep schedule ends up going to bed earlier, which is good because I like to wake up earlier. I like that, honestly, but usually then like I just get these next couple hours at night to like really focus on my hobbies or my work, or right now I'm recording my podcast. So it's also like just like another few hours where I'm not on my phone, because he's the only person I really go on my phone for. So I'm just working on reading or journaling or playing with my dog. There's pros and cons to like the time difference. Mostly it's a con because I want to talk to him, but we have to coordinate a little bit better. Like when I get out of classes, he's at dinner, so then I can't call him. So that's kind of whack, but I mean, we can't change that at all. You know those girls that, or boys, actually I know a couple, that once they get into a relationship, they literally drop everybody. And that's the only sole person in their life. It's really hurtful to the people around them. This has happened to me, and people have said this to me, and I'm like, bro. So this is like, okay, this is the good thing about long distance relationship, at least from my personal experience. I physically like can't push all my friends away for my boyfriend because he's not with me. So if I'm not hanging out with him every single day, how am I pushing my friends away? So that, I guess that's good, because if he went to school with me, I probably would hang out with him every single day and spend less time with my friends. So this really is a time to build those friendships that hopefully last for a long time with your romantic relationship. This independence that I have has been so empowering for me and has let me grow as an individual. So I've learned to rely on myself more, and I've gained confidence in my abilities to handle life on my own. I don't have him holding my hand 24/7. While I still miss him, having that space to develop my own life and interests have been invaluable to me. I could never get that time back if I spent this past 4 years with him every single day. So yes, it's cute to see those couples around campus, but I am so glad we had this opportunity. And that's like the positive way to look at this, the positive lens or perspective. I want to keep it that way. I've been able to read multiple self-help books. I've been able to travel by myself. I've been able to focus on those friendships and do these countless things, graduate early, focus on my academics. And I wouldn't be able to do that if we were together. So here are some communication tips, because it's key in any relationship, but especially in a long distance one, because like I said already before, so it's really the glue that holds everything together. When we're miles apart from each other, it can be really easy to feel disconnected, and it's crucial to stay in touch as much as possible. And I think we do this a little bit more than most people. Not saying that's good or bad. Some people only talk once a week or once a day, whatever it is, and that works for them. We talk multiple times a day, just in little snippets. Like I said, I call him whenever I get a chance, and if he can talk, like that's great. But if he can't, it's fine. I'll catch him at another time. And then we constantly either send memes to each other or quick little like good morning or I love you texts. It doesn't have to be this 2-hour long combo every single night, because we did that our first year and it just turned into like an obligation. And then when things didn't work out that way, we both felt disappointed. So it felt better to not have this regular schedule of every night I call you for an hour, of more of just when we can talk, we do. And I actually really enjoy that. And that's what we've been doing for a while now. But it makes me feel a lot closer to him and feels like we're just chatting. And even though like we're obviously physically apart, but I like our little calls every day. So we personally don't go a day without talking. To stay connected is like sending care packages. I've done this during COVID. He was only allowed to leave his dorm to go get mail. So I sent him a letter every single day that he was in quarantine. So every single day I sent him a letter so he could go to the mail every single day. It's a really great way to like share that you're thinking of them and you care about them. So either a letter or a little like self-care package. And I just know it makes him feel loved and appreciated. So you just have to get creative with the ways you express your affection. When you can't physically be with them, it's important to find other ways to show them that you do love them. Some other ways is sending a playlist of songs that remind you of them, or sending them memes on TikTok or Instagram. I love getting Instagram reels and TikToks because I'm like, oh, you saw this video and you're like, it reminded you of me, and you thought I think it would be funny or something. So whatever it is, something that resonates with both of you and you want to keep that spark alive, even though you can't go on dates regularly. Coping with distance. Being apart from Max for long periods of time can be really challenging. And it's difficult to keep a positive attitude and maintain that sense of connection when we're not together. But I found a lot of ways that help me cope with that, because I used to cry all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to see you for 2 months, blah, blah, blah. And then now I've really found a way where I'm like, oh, I'm going to see you then. Okay, see you then. And it's just a lot more, I just got my emotions under control. So one strategy that I found helpful is setting goals for the future. So usually that's planning a trip for the next time we see each other. So I went out for our anniversary to Florida. I was going to book my next trip back to Florida for my birthday, but the hotels and flights were just insane. So I was like, okay, let me wait like a month and then I'll purchase them. But I already know the next time I'm going out, whether I have that flight or not, I know I'm going for my birthday. We've celebrated my birthday together since I turned 18. And I really don't want to miss my 21st. So like 18 is a big one, 21st is a big one. So planning exactly when you're going to see each other next like really gives you something to look forward to. Because when we were in college and I was like, oh, I don't know the next time I'm going to see you. Like, is that 2 months, 4 months? Just the unknown gave me a lot of anxiety and made that process a lot harder, and I cried a lot more. So last year when I would go to every single home game, I knew, oh, I'll see you next weekend. So it really wasn't even bad. Maybe it's not when's the next time you're going to see each other, but maybe it's setting a career goal or graduating in a certain time frame or setting goals for your relationship. So I really love setting goals. I do vision boards. I set goals for myself every month, every week, every year. And I started doing this with Max. Sometimes we set goals for the month for each other, something we both want to work on. We started setting goals for our relationship for the year, and then also like during the new year. And then also I like to remind or add a new one when it comes to like our anniversary in that next year. And I like to reflect on the past year, also going forward in the next year, what we want from each other. Setting those goals helps me remind myself of what I'm working towards and how I can better myself. Because it can be something so simple as having more fun. Our goal for this year, for myself, for him, is, be less serious and just enjoy our relationship more than analyze it. There's no reason why I need to be analyzing and critiquing our relationship more than physically and emotionally enjoying it and just being appreciative of the healthy dynamic we have. So having something to look forward to and work towards together can help keep that motivation and to feel connected when Max and I do get to hang out and see each other, we always like to either do a hobby like that we both like, so like pickleball, or we start like a TV series together, and we build that connection in that time frame that we have. Maybe you can even do like a movie, a TV series like virtually, like you both watch it at the same time, but we like to just do it together. Another way I cope with distance is by finding new hobbies or interests outside of him, because this gives me something to focus on outside of a relationship and helps me feel more fulfilled. It also gives us something new to talk about and share it with each other. I thought about this because as I get older, I realize that this is a relationship I want for a really long time, and I don't ever want it to get boring or dull. And so like I need to fuel my own brain and fill my cup so then I can fill his. So if I'm not doing anything with my day, I'm going to be a boring person to date. I'm not going to be interesting. I'm not going to be knowledgeable or smart. So the point of that is I read books, I listen to podcasts, and I'm not doing this for him. It's more of doing these things to better myself, self-improvement, and become a knowledgeable person, have things to talk about. I know I need hobbies for the long run, because you're not always going to have your career or your partner or your children. You need things that are going to fulfill you and make you happy in life. My hobbies, I got a dog, for instance. I started a podcast. I got into reading, into podcasting. Into listening to podcasts and traveling. So these are all things that consume my time, things that I enjoy speaking about and sharing ideas. So today I sent Max a podcast episode that I listened to that I thought he would like. And I'm like, hey, listen to this. You might really like it. And we could talk about it. I'm trying to keep him on his toes. I believe that being in a long distance relationship can be such a great opportunity for both of us to grow as individuals. It gives us time and space to work on ourselves, which ultimately benefits our relationship in the long run. So I try to take advantage of this time apart to focus on my own personal development and self-improvement, to be selfish, and that's okay. That is what I need in the moment. I do this by reading books, podcasting, taking classes, really traveling alone, not revolving my life around the relationship, but letting the relationship be a good part of my life. I think I shifted that a year ago. I didn't go into the relationship like that. I really saw those positives of being in long distance. Managing expectations is a crucial part of any relationship, but it becomes more important, I think, in long distance ones, because when we first started off, we were both so excited about being together. And I remember when we decided where I was going to college, because he already knew. And I was like, oh, are we gonna stay together? Even when he got drafted, I always brought that question up because I wanted to make sure we were both in it. We ultimately decided to officially start dating because we weren't planning on going to college with being in a relationship, let alone senior year. I remember telling myself that. So one important aspect of managing these expectations is being honest and having your needs and goals met. It's important to have an open and honest conversation about what you want out of a relationship and what you're willing to give. For example, we have talked about how often we communicate and what our future goals are and where we see our relationship progressing over time. I usually instigate that conversation around our anniversary or the new year. And that's why I've talked about like this year for our relationship is about fun and enjoying it and building those memories. No need to be serious. We're 20 years old or 21 years old. Like, we just need to love and grow and build the foundations of our relationship and keep that passion. Relationships work because you're setting up that foundation of memories, of passion, of spark, hobbies and qualities and values and all those sorts of things. You can only do that though if you have that clear communication and you can tell your partner what you want. I am so brutally honest with Max. I'm like, hey Max, this is what I need from you. Can you give me that? Max, what is your goal for us this summer? What is your goal for us this month, this year? And we talk about it. And I'm like, okay, why'd you pick that? You can't be afraid to tell the person you're with what you want and what you need. If you want to make a goal for yourself that month and be like, hey, I think this month we need to call each other more, or I want you to introduce me to your parents. This goes for friendships too. If you need this, you should like make a list of like 10 things you want in a partner, or 10 things you need to like stay in a relationship. And they should at least meet like top 3, at least. And you need to talk to them about that. You can't just expect them to know and then get your feelings hurt or your expectations not met, because that's not fair to them. I'm making this up. I really wanted Max and I to work on, I don't even know what things couples have to work on, but, I really wanted Max to invite me over to dinner, or like invite me over to dinner more. Let's say that was like our goal for the month, but I never told him. And that month he only invited me over once. And we always like went to my house, or we went out to eat or something. And then I'm upset and I'm crying. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't care about me. He doesn't want me to be a part of his family, or his parents don't like me. Maybe he's embarrassed of me. But if you are afraid to tell your partner what you need and what will make you feel more confident in your relationship, that is something you need to work on, because this is the person that you're supposed to share everything with, that you love, that there are really no secrets, that you're most comfortable and secure with. Another important aspect of managing expectations is understanding that there will be good times and bad times. Long distance relationships can be really difficult, and there are times where you feel lonely or disconnected, but it's important to remember that that's normal, and it doesn't mean your relationship is failing. I have always said this, is people give up way too easily. How do you see grandmas and grandpas being married for 60, 50, 80 years plus? They probably had a week of a terrible relationship. They probably had a month. They probably had years of being in a rut. Years. But they never gave up on each other. Or they at least both didn't give up at the same time. And I say this to Max all the time. Relationships are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to be like hard-wrenching, fighting, yelling at each other. But they're not supposed to be never arguments, never picking each other's brains and trying to make each other think more. Relationships work because there is love underneath everything. And if you remember that and you never stop dating each other, you never stop making each other feel special and working through those difficult moments and those difficult conversations, then your relationship will last. It's when you give up and you think it's too hard or you'll never get through it is when your relationship won't last. But I tell people and friends all the time is, it's okay that you didn't like each other for a month. It's as long as you're not crossing boundaries that are unacceptable to you, that your values then don't align. If there's mutual respect and both people are willing to fight and love this relationship and build it and grow it and nurture it, then that's good. Then keep it. Your relationship is not failing. It's whether or not you want to give up. I don't give up. By setting realistic expectations, you're being prepared for challenges that come with the distance. You can navigate the ups and downs with grace and understanding. It can be tough to maintain a level of trust when you're physically not together all the time. There are things you can do to help build and maintain it. I know a lot of couples where they just do not trust each other and they don't go out without each other, tracking each other to the minute, sending each other screenshots like, where are you? I don't like that. That's not what I would do. I think if you're in a long distance relationship, you just have to have that level of trust to ease your emotions. One strategy that's worked well for Max and I is being transparent. So being open and honest about what I'm doing, who I'm spending time with. And that's usually just like over text or a phone, like, hey, I'm going to go out tonight, or I'm going to be home late, whatever it is. It just helps avoid any misunderstandings or suspicions that arise when you're not together. So he's like, oh, I didn't know you were like going to a frat tonight. And I'm like, oh yeah, like just hanging out with my friends. If you're not being transparent and like openly honest, then sometimes it can seem like you're hiding it when you're really not. You just want to spend time with the girls, So another thing is expressing your feelings in a healthy way. So if you're feeling jealous or insecure, it's better to talk about it than letting it fester and potentially damaging the relationship and manifesting it. Having that open and honest communication is key to building trust and maintaining a healthy long-distance relationship. You really can't get through this without communication. Planning for the future, it's really important that even though long distance can make it feel like the future is uncertain, having a plan in place can make all the difference. One thing that I do is we discuss when the next time we're going to see each other. We look at our schedules, we consider how much flights and hotels are, and decide on a timeline that works for both of us. This helps us look forward to something and count down the days. Another important aspect of planning for the future is setting long-term goals as a couple. So we have the short-term goals, but we also have long-term goals, whether it's saving for a future together, planning to move to the same city, or working towards a common goal. Having something to work towards too, and it brings you closer as a couple. It's also important to make plans for visits or vacations, even if it's months away. Having something on the calendar makes the distance feel more bearable. Max and I plan, we see each other about every other month, and that makes it seem less big. I know how many weekends until I see him again. But overall, planning for the future can be a source of hope and motivation in your relationship. It might not be easy, but it's worth it, and it's something to look forward to and work towards. My relationship has been the most secure and dependable thing in my life. Even though it's so unpredictable about where is Max gonna be, where am I gonna be, what our career is like, but I know that our connection and our relationship together is something that I value and trust so much, and that I'll do anything for. Just know that there are long distance relationships that do work, even though there's so many people telling you not to do it, or that it doesn't work, or find someone that lives next to you. Because I think the time that I'm spending in this long distance relationship is making me a better person, making me understand myself better. And when we ultimately are together in the same location, the same zip code, I think that our life will just become more fruitful. And all those things we learned about each other, we can put our heads together and just be this awesome power couple. That's amazing, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without this transition in our life. I'm grateful for the opportunities that we were presented and the hand that we were dealt. I wouldn't change it, honestly. That concludes my episode for today. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next week. Love you all. Bye.